I'm Darlene Kerley. I was reared in Morganton. Went to Greenback High School, all grammar and high school. I was fortunate to have this lady right here, Thelma Cooper, as an English teacher. And I am the youngest of 6 children. You now have the oldest son, which is going on 97, and me. I'm not going to tell you mine. I left Greenback or Morganton in 1961, went to college, and got married in 63. Started working for the Knoxville News Sentinel in June the 1st of 1963. And stayed there for 45 and a half years.
Wow.
Not heard of anymore. I was the payroll and benefits manager for the Sentinel and worked in HR. And I did all the benefits and the insurance and payroll, or was in charge of it. I retired at the end of 2008, and since then, my career has been taking care of my siblings. I was told by one that the reason Mother had me lazy was so I could take care of them. And I think she must be right. We were fortunate that we had a little farm and raised our own vegetables, and then in 1967, 68, TVA came and bought the property, and it is now where we live is underwater. Paid cents on the dollar for our property. And our mother moved to Maryland. And anyway, the TVA also took our grandfather, Cochrane's farm, and I think it had about, John probably remembers more of the acreage, but it seems like it was like 280 acres and a lot of, but it didn't cover all of it. So it's still there. There is a cemetery on there that TVA promised my brother, because he was handling the estate at that time, that they would build a road into the cemetery. It's known as the Blankenship Cemetery. And my brother Charles and I did some research, and John has the original deed to it, but my grandfather and great-grandfather deeded that to Loudoun County in 1915. Well, needless to say, TVA reneged on their promise, and John and some of his fellow friends like Judge Badgett and right now I can't think of his name, but anyway, they built a road. And now Lanny is trying to keep the cemetery mowed and that, and I am so grateful for that. I had Loudoun County, I wrote letters. I'm just rambling on, but
it's okay.
I wrote letters to John Duncan and Bob Coker and Lamar Alexander. Well, back in, I don't remember exactly what time, time, but I got invited to come to the commission meeting where the mayor and the commissioners were seated. And so I told them our dilemma. Well, they agreed to help with the road and mowing. Well, that only lasted maybe 4 or 5 years. They reneged on that too. I don't see how that they could do that, and I don't see, it didn't affect, it wasn't our cemetery anyway, it was already deeded to Loudoun County back in 15.
Right.
And to me, Loudoun County ought to be the ones that are taking care of the road and maintaining it.
Right.
It has come to our that it's only John and me, and he certainly isn't able, and I'm going to say I'm not either. So we've been trying for, I don't know, several years now to get them to recognize that. And I don't know if TVA made a boo-boo in getting the records straight. I have no idea. But when Grandpa and my great-grandfather, and he was a Finger, Marion Francis Finger, and he and my grandfather were the ones that deeded that, and I do have a copy of it. I presently live in Maryland, and I have been a caregiver, really, since I retired. And instead of having one mama, I had 4 mamas and 3 dads. And my older 2 sisters, Edna and Dale, Daddy thought Dale was named after my dad. Her name was Cecil Dale, and she could play any instrument. I mean, it didn't take her long, and she was, if you really wanted to say, she was probably the most intelligent one of us. Even me, you know.
How many are still living today?
There's just John and me.
Okay.
He's going on 97, and he was 18 years old when I came along. Dad was 50, Mother was 40. And I grew up, they didn't want to do anything with me. My other sisters and brothers were already gone, pretty much. I think John got married when I was about 8 or 9, and he brought his wife down, well, his fiance down to meet the family. And her name was Bessie Mae Montgomery, who was better known as Jill. And for some reason or another, we went in to eat, and I just sort of pinched her. Well, she pinched me back. Yeah, I know. Well, she was taking my brother. And so I had a sister that taught school. She just like, her name was Eleanor, and she just like 45 hours having her PhD. But she had to retire, and she took care of her husband at that time that was sick. And she passed away in 2015, and I took care of her. My oldest sister and Dale, Edna could play the guitar, and Daddy could play like a fiddle. I mean, you know, they were musically talented, I think. And they sang on the WNOX radio, and they were called the Singing Cowgirls, John. This was before my time.
What?
Was Edna and Dale called the Singing was she called the Singing Cowgirl. They made a record, but I don't have it.
Would you tell me about your memories of school? And
Well, I had several different teachers that, when I was in the 5th grade, I had Helen Kerr. And she made a big impression on me. We always said the allegiance to the flag, and we always had read the Bible, you know, and which I think is great, and I think that we're doing our younger generation a disservice. But anyway, there's some teachers that I have a good memory of, and some that I don't. Some of them I had twice, like Dorothy French. I had her twice. I had her in the fourth grade. Yeah, and 7th. And she was our neighbor too, and she graduated the same year that Dale did, and they ran around together some. And this is a little thing that they said that Dale was there and Dorothy was up on her knees and looking over at Dale's paper, and they said, "Well, Dorothy, what are you doing?" She said, "I'm a cheating." Yeah. 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 But anyway, her brother Donald and my brother were real close, but they were neighbors of ours. And I remember her coming. I had the measles, I think it was, and I was home. But I remember her coming to see me. There was several in their family as well, and but Helen Kerr stands out. Okay. As far as the teachers that I had in high school, Mrs. Greenwood was our home economics teacher. And I remember what I made. I made a souffle and cheese souffle. And I went to Maryville College. I was going to be a teacher, and I was going to be home ec. And I still got my book where I made my seams, different side seams. But one of the people that I remember that always was kind and helpful was this lady right here.
let me go back to Darlene just a minute. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Why was Miss Cooper so special?
Well, she taught English, and she was young then. Well, she's still young, but she could keep your attention. She also would ask me to play the piano for certain things. You remember that? And I remember playing the piano for junior and senior banquet or something of that nature that I did. Yeah, I did. And she was always just real sweet and kind, you know, and a good teacher. I hope I learned a lot from you.
Darlene, if you would share your church experiences.
Well, I grew up, there was a little Presbyterian church out from our house within walking distance, and Maryville College always would send people down, because that's a Presbyterian college. They would send people down, and we would have church services and Sunday school. And I played the piano there for a little while until it sort of closed. It did close. And then Joe Hamptree's wife, Lucille, asked my mother if I couldn't come up to the Baptist church in Morganton, which is, and play the piano for them. And they did, I did, and they would pick me up and take me and then bring me back. And I remember some of the preachers, I won't name any names, but they would get down, you're talking about primitive. They'd get down and they'd be preaching so hard their foam would come out of their mouth, and they'd lay down at the altar, no joke. And I did that for I don't know how long, and then finally I got through school, and there was a little Methodist church over on the highway. It's not a church anymore. And I used to go over there, and I joined that church. And then when I got married, my husband was Baptist. And I had been christened, okay? I had been christened at the Methodist church. Well, if you're a Baptist, you gotta be dunked. Were you dunked?
You don't have to.
Well, no, I did. And it was.
I had been sprinkled.
What?
You mentioned,
Yeah.
One second, let her finish this.
are you done?
No. But anyway, I joined the Baptist church with my husband in Knoxville. It was Fountain City Baptist Church.
Well, was it all right?
Well, I don't know. I know I had to be baptized. They didn't take my sprinkling. And we were there for about 3 years. And then we moved to Maryville.